So this is going to be a little bit of a rant. I have been thinking a lot about Guild Wars 3 and kind of where it's going to fall in the gaming landscape and kind of what we know about the social elements of the game. I know that there's a lot of concern about like what defines an MMO and if it's instanced or if it is a vast open world or what is going on. And as I was thinking about it and I was considering what games I would like to play, I kind of found myself liking the fact that it was a small group, that instead of focusing on like giant 50-man parties or large guilds, it actually focused more around these smaller, more intimate groups. And we know this because number one, they had it on their description for their YouTube video where it's like play solo or play with friends, right? And a NCSoft person came out and was talking about Guild Wars 3 versus Aeon 2 and how they kind of are not going to compete within each other. So thinking about those things, I'm pretty confident that this is going to be a game that is fairly solo friendly, and for the most part, most MMOs are solo friendly to some degree. I know Guild Wars 2 is very solo friendly and it can be very casual, but there are still elements to it that force you into that multiplayer dynamic. There are certain dungeon paths that you cannot complete without other people. And even in Guild Wars 1, there are certain quests that are very, very tricky because you're like getting attacked at two fronts or you need to defend multiple objectives at the same time. And if you're trying to do that solo, it can be very challenging. And as a primarily solo player in games, like I do join groups, but I typically do not like join a group externally and become a part of this group. I actually think that's a really good thing. And it's because a lot of the problems that I've been complaining about Guild Wars 2 will be solved with that dynamic, right? With that kind of play style. If you can play the game solo effectively, meaning that encounters and quests and events are designed around a solo or small group setting, then it doesn't really matter if you work night shift or day shift or what time zone you're in, or trying to find people that play when you play. And that's really been my big struggle, because most of the time I play super early in the morning because I'm an adult, right? So I do all of my gaming in the morning and then I go to work and then I spend time with my family. So when you're trying to like play with the boys or get the gang together, you're either dealing with people that are like way off opposite time zones than you, which is kind of what I have dealt with. Like I play with a lot of Australian players and Oceanic players and even European players, because my time zone where I am like super obscure where I live, it's like prime time for them. So you either experience situations like that or you end up with like a dead LFG. And I've also experienced that, where you really want to do this content, but you can't because there's no groups for it. Right. So with the encounter design being more geared towards a solo player, we will now be able to just kind of experience that at will. Another thing, the reason why I think that these smaller group sizes, even if it does end up being small to the point that it's like a 4-man party, I think that that is probably the best party size because it actually allows you to have an intimate play session with other people. Some of the best experiences that I've had playing MMOs have been in the like 5-man squad, 5-man party lobbies, right? Because you can keep track of what 4 other people are doing and you can actually take the time to get to know them. If you're dealing with a 50-man squad, you're just there. Like it's just like you're attending the crowd and you're commanding this aqueous blob of people. But the most social that I've ever been in Guild Wars 2 is when you are doing dungeon runs, when you are doing fractals, and to a lesser extent raids. I know a lot of raid static groups are really tight knit, but oftentimes they don't play together outside of raids. So they will join a raid static, they will join a raid squad, and then they raid, they meet up at that same time, they do their clears, and then they have their own personal friends that they hang out with. Or in some cases, the raid static will be like an amalgam of different cliques, to where you have 2 or 3 people on your raid static and then 2 or 3 people that are in a different clique, and you just kind of all combine them together. And that's usually how it goes. Like, I mean, there have been many times that I join a group that is like a partial static, where it's like 4 people of the same guild or they're personal friends, and they are all friends, and then they just kind of fill out the rest of the party, which is completely fine. Like, that's the way I play solo with other players. It's like, okay, you guys are friends, I'm just gonna come in and fill this role. But if the game is designed around not having to do that and is instead designed around these smaller intimate groups, I think that appeals to a lot more players, right? Like, it's pretty easy to convince 1 or 2 of your friends to buy a game and play it with you, or hop on the game even if that's not their primary game, than it is to convince 10, 15, 20 players to do so, especially with the way the gaming landscape is and the amount of options we have, and the target demographic for MMOs just kind of growing up. MMOs in a traditional sense take a lot of time, and I think that the mentality of, well, you don't have to spend a lot of time, you can just like quit the game and come back later, you know, set it down, walk away, we respect your time, you don't have to come and do it. I don't necessarily think that that's the right answer for the MMO problem, like the grind 5,000 apples problem. Now, it doesn't mean to say that I hate grinds, and I think that there is a demographic that loves grinding. I mean, that's basically every single Korean MMO is a grind fest, and there is an audience for that. What I'm looking forward to is that in the event the game is really balanced around a solo experience, you have the opportunity to then like tell very interesting stories and develop very interesting challenges. I think that what highlights this kind of philosophy is actually the Queen's Gauntlet during one of the festivals in Guild Wars, where you go into an arena and it's like a one-on-one arena, and that gives you the option to explore different builds and stuff like that. And I could see that being the case for a lot of different encounters in Guild Wars 3. At least as of late, while we're waiting for more information, I found myself kind of disconnecting from Guild Wars 2 until we get the next Visions of Eternity release. But I have been playing a lot of like solo games. Like I've played a lot of Hades recently, and I actually finally beat Hades. I got my first clear to where I finally beat the game and unlocked the little challenge modes on it, and I'm still playing it. And I think that that's kind of like the perfect example, right, of a game that has a lot of randomness, but you as a personal player can play how you want. I feel like that does cause problems in the MMO space, is that when you start adding these social elements to it, you start adding expectations, and a lot of the complaints that the community has, complaints about kill proof, complaints about builds and damage numbers, and trying to meet some kind of expectation. I think that all of those things like derive from having to be accountable to somebody else. And frankly, I don't really like that. I can be. I've done clears. I know how to do damage. I know different builds, all of these things. But the idea that to clear this particular encounter, you have to play a certain way, I feel like that goes kind of against what ArenaNet's core philosophy is, the whole play as you want philosophy. And now we have evolved this game through the community element that you are expected to play a certain way if you join certain groups, and so on and so on. And in many cases, the culture has shifted to the point that yes, you can still make your own group, right? You can still squad up and decide like, I'm gonna just play whatever, bring whatever, you can get the clear. And unfortunately, a lot of the encounters and balance and stuff that we've seen makes it so that way a lot of the fights are trivialized to the point that will work, right? Like, you can play whatever you want. But for the most part, if you're actually trying to join some kind of structured group, there are a lot of expectations that come along with that. And I think that the small group setting and the solo friendly setting is going to solve a lot of that, because if I play Hades, I can play however I want. I can choose, I'm gonna try to beat the game like this, I'm gonna try to beat the game like that. And that's what I'm really looking forward to in Guild Wars 3. I know that there are a lot of people that do not share, a lot of content creators that don't really share that mentality. I think that the fact that you can build a community and play with a community as a content creator is kind of skewing their idea of what a good game can be. Like, like it is a good game for them because that is what they want. They want to build a community. They want to be able to play with their community. But for somebody like me, I have very little interest in like building a community. I have more interest in playing good games, making engaging content, and that is very much a solo endeavor. So yeah, I think with that, I'm gonna edit this little rant down. We'll see if it makes the YouTube channel. I just wanted to kind of share some thoughts. I didn't want to like script it out. I just wanted to kind of think out loud. So if you're new here, or you like the video, or you like the thoughts that I shared, assuming I post it, go ahead and share what you think in the comments below. When Guild Wars 3 comes out, are you planning on playing solo? Are you hoping that there is larger group elements and stuff like that? Because for me, even if you do have encounters that are 5-man, as long as there's a good dungeon finder, I'll just pop in, do the dungeon finding, and keep it pushing. I don't need to like build this squad and set up a static time and all of this stuff that we have to do in these current games. Anyway, if you watched the video, thanks for watching. Thanks to all my members. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Peace.